There's a new face with the Minnesota Wild, but a familiar positioning as your Minnesota Wild sit atop #1 in the National Hockey League standings. That's right, a week after Thanksgiving, and everything's looking pretty tasty for your Wild organization. Plus, Kirsten and I talk Four Nations, and PWHL Minnesota season gets underway. As always, we're created by New Voice Studios, brought to you by SotaStick, presented by Talk North, Grainbelt, Livea, Royal Credit Union, and Jim Beam. This is Season 6, Episode 256.
At Jim Beam, they know the importance of tradition, like chanting, "Let's play hockey" prior to the start of each game, or playing the state of hockey anthem after a Wild win. This season, raise one to your fan family with a bourbon that invites us all to come as friends and leave as family. Jim Beam Bourbon Whiskey, the official bourbon whiskey partner of the Minnesota Wild and XL Energy Center. Drink smart. Jim Beam Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2021. James B. Beam Distilling Company, Incorporated, Claremont, Kentucky.
Black Friday deals are here at SotaStick.com. Get 25% off your favorite SotaStick items. That's hats, that's hoodies, that's sticker sheets, mugs, whatever it is for the gift-giving season. SotaStick.com has it in a fun and unique fashion. Plus, pull tabs now being tossed into packages, and you can get free shipping with $99 worth of purchases or more. Again, 25% off for their Black Friday deal, site-wide, auto-applied at checkout. Don't forget to check out SotaStick.com year-round for all your favorite Minnesota sports garb. Hello, everybody. What's up? Bardown Beauties, episode something. 257 sounds right, I think. So we're going to go with that. Maybe it's 258, maybe it's 257. I really didn't do my due diligence to double check, but it's another episode. Another week, another day of the Minnesota Wild, just doing good things. Currently, as we hit record, 12:41 p.m., Monday, December 2nd, your Minnesota Wild are in possession of first place in the National Hockey League. Let's round of applause for that. Love to see it. Kirsten, the Wild hit some injuries. You're without Matt Zuccarello. Jonas Brodin's out. Jacob Lauko's out. Your fourth line is consisting of all American Hockey League players as of late. But Minnesota's still finding ways to win. How are we feeling this week about the Minnesota Wild and what they've shown us the past couple games?
Well, first we need to address the elephant in the room. Is Jonas Brodin getting moved to long-term injured reserve?
I have that feeling, yes. The way that they keep kicking the can, there was practice again on Monday where I again asked John Hines any update on Brodin, as we've done for the past 3 or 4 avails, and nope, no update. There's not even there seemed to be a little bit more optimism about having a nearer return for Jakob Lauko, but Broads, I think, is going to move into retroactive, mostly too, so they can make room and get some salary cap relief there. But I have a feeling that, potentially Rhodes will be on LTIR sooner rather than later.
I hate life. This is awful news, and I don't feel good about it.
It will.
I saw a tweet from Russo this morning, but he might have tweeted it yesterday. It was in response to a fan, and it was something along the lines of referring to Brodin getting surgery. And then Russo's like, if he gets surgery, he will be back before the end of the season.
To my knowledge, it's not like looking super great for Broads. I don't know that it's I don't know. I just don't think that it's a short-term situation for him.
I'm not happy
to say. Well, I'm sorry. It's not my fault. Just the way it is.
You love and
no
you
offense.
lost.
This happens to Brodin every November and December, it seems.
We have loved and we have lost.
Death, taxes, and Jonas Brodin getting hurt.
Not happy.
Well, it is what it is. I do wonder.
Otherwise, I feel good about the team. Besides Jonas Brodin, I feel good about the team. And David Jiricek, I'm a fan of that.
But it is, he did say, no, now he recorrected it and said it's
Oh
David.
my gosh.
I know.
So it's David.
It is David Jiricek, yes.
You told me it was David.
I was told it was David, but it's David. I confirmed that today it's David Jiricek. Yes, we'll talk about him.
I'm tired, Jessi. I'm tired.
Fine.
Need to pick a lane.
I'm tired of this bullshit too. It's fine. It's all good. We'll talk about him. I do want to talk too about Four Nations. Jonas Brodin's name will come up within that conversation. We'll also have PWHL. Yeah, let's segue though into Jiricek, since that's kind of the news of the week, if you will. Saturday, the Minnesota Wild sending a haul of picks over to the Columbus Blue Jackets, as well as Damon Hunt in exchange for David Jiricek, a 21-year-old beast of a kid. I saw him on the ice today. Again, Monday, we're recording this with Zach Bogosian and Jake Middleton, two of the big blue liners from Minnesota. And at 21 years old, he is right on par with them. Now, he definitely looks every bit of 21. And when I say that, I mean he's very young. I think Wild Brass recognize that he's rough around the edges, going to need some development work. They're going to work him into systems. It will be a while before you technically see him in a game situation, unless there's another injury to another defenseman. But all in all, how do you feel about Minnesota exchanging a first round and a second round and a fourth round? Now, the first round is top five protected, which I don't think Minnesota is going to be drafting that high anyway, which is a good thing, mind you. And I don't know that the draft class is exceptionally strong next year anyway. How do you feel about them getting rid of a first round and a second round and a fourth round in the next couple of years to come?
I'm not mad about it at all because when you think about it logically, look at where the Minnesota Wild sit right now. If they continue this pace and this style of play, they were never going to get an early or even mid-round, first-round draft pick. And even Judd Brackett was quoted, I forget where I saw this, but he was quoted being comfortable with the decision as well. And he even exactly pretty much said that same thing. He said, we are getting more for what we have given because what would be available later in the first round wouldn't match what we got. And then also you look at what Minnesota has been doing. They've been collecting later round draft picks like freaking Pokemon over the last like year or two. So no, I'm comfortable with where Minnesota's at. I'm happy with the decision. We all criticize the Wild how they need more size. Well, guys, here we go. We got some size. So no, I think as far as first round pick next year goes, you get a first round pick in exchange because that's what Jiricek was. He was a first round selection for Columbus. So I'm very comfortable with it.
Nailed it. He was a first round pick. So you are exchanging that. It was somebody that was on the Minnesota Wild's radar since his draft year, which I think was 2022. Minnesota knew they weren't going to be able to get him. But yeah, I don't hate it. My curious, and we asked Bill Guerin this on Saturday, availability following the trade being announced, is how does this then hurt what you have to give away at trade deadline, right? Usually people are using picks to compensate and get some rentals and whatnot. And obviously Billy said it's nothing that he's thinking of right now. Right now he's looking at where the team's at and what they can get, and Jiricek was there. And yeah, I don't hate it. I love the kid size. Like I said, he's a big boy. Like he is a big kid. And he's still young. I always am so too when it comes to draft classes and draft picks. And yes, you can point to Connor Bedard and Macklin Celebrini and a lot of the young rookies. And certainly there are always superstars, but I always take it with a grain of salt. Look at Marco Rossi. Look at guys that take a while to come to fruition. I mean, hockey is not the NFL. It's not the NBA where you're going to see these guys make an immediate impact very often, with the exception of generational talent, which has come, few and far between in the National Hockey League. But yeah, I think it's fine. I'm okay with it. I would I don't know. Picks are just picks. He didn't go all Chuck Fletcher on it,
No, I'm comfortable.
So I'm comfortable. I guess the other thing that makes me curious is what it could mean for Declan Chisholm.
I want Declan Chisholm to stay a member of this Wild team. I like him. And even when you look back to last year, getting him off waivers from Winnipeg, steal.
True.
Steal. I want him to remain a member of this Minnesota Wild squad.
Yeah, I really like what Declan Chisholm has brought. I really like him with Jared Spurgeon too. I think that's been a really good pair in the absence of Jonas Brodian. He's got
to keep bringing up salt in the wound.
In case you didn't know, Jonas Brodian's hurt. He's hurt. He probably is going to be hurt for a little while.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yep.
One positive: Matt Zuccarello might be returning to activity soon.
Ooh.
Speaking of injured players, so I'm walking around, hanging out.
Very nice.
He's not riding a bike anytime soon or anything like that, but right? I think that's a problem for the men's in general speak, but like especially on the undercarriage.
Ugh.
There is no appropriate way to discuss that injury,
There's not.
but it's something that
Poor
I think
guy.
he'll be back at the end of the month, maybe, is what I feel. I'm vibing with the end of the month because it was like mid-November. They said 3 to 4 weeks, but I feel like it probably takes a little bit more time.
Probably.
But yeah,
I'm just happy to hear he's doing all right.
sames. He'll be fine. He'll be all right. We like
Yeah.
it. We'll get there. Let's switch gears to some more NHL excitement though, aside from the Wild, because the Wild are good. We don't need to tell you that Kirill Kaprizov continues to be good. We don't need to tell you
Is he
that
still the
Philip
NHL point
Gustafson,
leader? He was as of
yesterday he was, right?
yeah.
Let's just double check just because we got yes, Kirill Kaprizov. It's once again another Monday where if you go to the NHL stats page, you have Philip Gustafson as the top goalie in the league next to Kirill Kaprizov as the top points leader in the league. Kirill's 38 points, one better than Martin Necas of the Carolina Hurricanes. Philip Gustafson's 2.05 goals against average, slightly better than Connor Hellebuyck. These are all great transitions because Philip Gustafson, the way that he has been playing, I think has very much put himself in discussion for the Swedish goaltenders when it comes to Four Nations. Likewise, Connor Hellebuyck, as we mentioned, who I do kind of adore, is going to be amazing for Team USA. But so it's going to be Philip Gustafson behind probably Linus Ullmark and Jacob Markstrom on Team Sweden. With the Brodin injury, we're going to say one more time. How do you think that affects him with the Four Nations roster? Currently, right now, I think a lot of people have Broads as one of the defensemen for Team Sweden. Jules Eriksson, another guy, I think is probably going to slot in. But do you think it's one of those situations? Because again, Four Nations is not only going to be fun because it's the best of the best and it's kind of a preview for the Olympic teams, but also it feels very much like, okay, if you go and play in Four Nations, you have a better chance for an Olympic squad, right? So do you think it's better for Broads to sit this one out if he is still battling an injury, or how do you play that?
My gut instinct is if he does get placed on LTIR, I don't envision a world where he gets selected.
Yeah, I know. But he's still a guy that's very valuable,
Well,
especially as a righty.
1,000%. And I would say in normal circumstances, he hands down would be a member of Team Sweden.
Right. Yeah, that's probably true.
But
I mean,
if he gets put on LTIR, I don't see that happening.
I mean, Leo Carlsson, he basically takes the spot of Leo Carlsson, who's also injured right now. So I guess it'd be interesting for those unaware, the Four Nations tournament happening in February this year instead of the All-Star game. Rosters are due Monday evening, and the announcements will be made on Wednesday, December 4th, Canada and US in the evening at 5:30 Central, Sweden and Finland prior to that, I think at like 1:30 Central. So that's what we're talking about. Four Nations. Bill Guerin, general manager of the Minnesota Wild, is also general manager for Team USA. John
He does
Hines,
everything.
he does a little bit of everything. We love it. Bless you.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. USA out there. Let's talk about the US team though, shall we? Let's just switch gears there. I had already talked about last week that Connor Hellebuyck. The thing that excites me about the Team USA team, again, not knowing the rosters, but having a pretty good idea of who we'd put in there. The goaltending is probably the most incredible thing I can absolutely think of for Team USA.
Hellebuyck and
just
Ottinger.
Oh my God, it's going to be so good. And then you've got Jeremy Swayman probably in the mix too. Like, I drool. Oh, so good. Like, that little emoji where it's like, and they're breathing and it's like you have to catch your breath because
very familiar.
I use it often.
Yeah.
That's how I feel when I look at the goaltending for Team USA.
I'm just shaking my head.
I'm just saying. Well, when you consider Canada,
it's the only time I'll cheer for either of those players is if they are wearing the Team USA crest.
I mean, considering Canada's going to have Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby and Mitch Marner and like all this offensive power, Connor Bedard probably makes the Four Nations team, right? You need good goaltending, and that's what they're going to have. But you know what else they're going to have? They're going to have really good defensemen too, which is probably going to include Brock Faber.
You think so?
I mean, with Bill
I could see him getting asked to be backup. I was
No,
a
I
little
think
surprised to not see him on the uh initial prediction for the defenseman.
people probably were looking at Brock's year as much of us, like, is it going to be a sophomore slump? And I don't think we've seen that. I think you're seeing some more mistakes than maybe we saw last year, but also maybe it's because we're looking at him with a more keen and critical eye too, right? Like there's been some big mistakes this year that I think was like, oh, okay. But I mean, it happens. I would put Brock as a bottom pair, I think, with Zach Werenski. Zach Werenski's having a fantastic year in Columbus too. So I think he's really put himself in that conversation. But you've obviously already got Quinn Hughes and Charlie McAvoy. That's your top pair. Adam Fox and probably Jacob Slavin. And then Noah Hannafin's another American defense. I could go on about USA guys all day long. But I think Brock makes the team. Plus Billy G, that'd be just rude of Bill to like dismiss him.
Agreed. 1000%. Matt Boldy,
make the
though.
team?
Matt
Right. I was gonna
Boldy.
say, is he a lock, you think?
I do. Yeah.
Whereas
Not
I
only
feel
just because of the season he's been having thus far, but also I think Billy is very, very keen on Matt Boldy. But in the prediction that I saw, he was slated as a left winger, fourth liner.
I could see him fourth line too. Like you're looking at your top lines, an Austin Matthews, Matthew Tkachuk. Second
Brady
line
Tkachuk
centers.
also is predicted on the fourth line.
Yeah, you put Brady on the team too. Do you put JT Miller on the team? Now he's taking a leave of absence currently, but he's always been a notorious USA guy. Because that's the other thing I always look at with these teams and the composition too. You got to go with your tried and true USA guys too that have been World Junior. Boldy and Faber have both been World Juniors. Like all these guys that have done so much for USA hockey, I think tend to get a leg up. And they've just kind of been there and seen that success. Dylan Larkin, right? Like he probably is. He's a fourth liner or third liner, maybe. I kind of would like to see Bolds move up. Like Jason Robertson. Would you put Matt Boldy ahead of Jason Robertson in a lineup? Because Jason Robertson, as good as Dallas is having like a very quiet year, it feels. Not like Krull, the Calder winner that year.
I could see bumping Boldy up, like to a third line.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Then Jack Hughes on the second line? Third line. He's a center, so he'd be the third center behind Eichel and Matthews.
Yeah.
Probably. God, I'm so excited. So excited for it. You can't even understand. Like I just love it. Like you guys know I love Miracle, and this is not a reason why I love international competition. I go back to getting up at like 6 a.m. and watching TJ Oshie dismantle Russia in a shootout, right? By going 8 times in a row, and then watching the unfortunate Canada Olympic winning gold medal but Zach Parise tying it. And like, God, these moments, like that's what Four Nations is going to be like before the Olympics. Like it's going to carry as much weight for these guys. And I'm just so excited.
I don't know. I thought you hated Team USA, so.
No, Kirsten, I don't. I know that was facetious of you, and I don't hate them at all. You know, the one team I don't really know much about, like Finland. I always forget about Finland. Like they're pretty good too. They should be pretty solid. You've got Sebastian Aho, Barkov, Granlund. Your goalies are Saros and Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, who I just like.
Why did I think Saros was Swedish?
Because he wears yellow for Nashville.
That could be it. Yeah, that could. Honestly, that could be it.
I think I could totally
the
see
association.
Yes.
Still European, so I guess like maybe that's where the mind
Swedish
went.
and Finns, like they even in the locker room, like they're very similar. Like there are times even with like Granlund or Halla, I have to be like, they're Finnish, they're not Swedish. Like
yeah,
there's a divide there.
True.
But Finland should be pretty good too, I think. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen.
That's a fun name.
It's such a fun name. Like UPL. I don't like writing it, but it's one I like saying, so I just call him UPL.
Love.
That being said, what's your concern level? Now, this would happen with any international competition. It's a big reason I used to, as much as I love World Junior Championships, those rosters also named today, 8 Minnesotans. I hated it because it meant half the Gopher team would leave and go play in this tournament, and then, whatever. And there's cause for injury. People can get very hurt because you're playing hard. It's not just like you're dropping it to go to the All-Star game. How concerning is it to like stop the NHL season and have your best players over there competing when there's going to be a high risk of injury. Like, is that something you really think about, I guess? I mean, they're all professionals. There's a risk for injury every single night, right? Like every
Mhm.
single game, there's that potential. But there's something about like when you're doing it not for your NHL team, but you're doing it internationally. I don't know. Just wondering what your thoughts are on that. That's what we do here on the podcast. We talk.
I guess I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah.
That was a really short answer. I'm not
Was a
overly
really short
concerned
like
about it.
this. You're like a hockey player that I'm interviewing. I'm like, okay, you didn't say anything I needed you to say.
Okay,
So
well, to back that up a little bit, my coffee maker broke this morning. I was waiting to get a full pot of coffee.
mhm.
The water pump is not working. So
we do
somebody feel free to send me a new coffee pot. Otherwise, this
we do
is
know
this is the
how
kind of Kirsten you're gonna get until I have coffee.
we do know that you need your coffee. I think every week I could probably put together a highlight reel of you reminding us that we need coffee.
Probably. You
Okay,
probably could.
probably could.
So yes, I'm short today.
I have a little concern for it. I also am curious, just thinking and talking out loud. Do you think so? Obviously, Russia's not competing, as we all know. There's the Olympic ban. Um, do you think that changes before the Olympics? Like you're leaving out the Kirill Kaprizov and the Alex Ovechkin. I mean, some fun competition, which right or wrong, but political schemes, right? Like you want them to be able to compete. They have nothing to do with that. They're not making those decisions on behalf of their country. I totally understand
Mm-hmm.
why, but also it's like, do you think that changes? Obviously, it's not going to change between now and February, but do you see that changing? Because especially we know how vocal those guys have been about wanting to represent their country. And again, no matter how you feel about their politics there,
Mm-hmm.
you want that for them. Plus, I want to see the best on the best, and Ovechkin and Kirill, amongst others, are part of that.
Yeah, I mean, to not see those two be able to compete is a huge loss. And everybody wants, like you mentioned, to see the best of the best. The only way, and there's not really any way to say it without, I guess, like kind of getting political, I guess, is to say, like, unless the war ends before the Olympics, I don't think
Right.
you're
Like,
gonna have that opportunity because it's bigger than just the US saying, like, let's
yeah.
do it. It's the entire International Olympic Committee making that
Mhm.
decision.
Right. Like you for without question need Russia to stop their invasion of Ukraine, right? Like you need them
Mhm.
to pull out and you need that to end. So yeah,
Like, there's
I don't
so
know.
many people involved, like
Hmm.
on a much greater scale that are in charge of that decision.
And it's well beyond my pay grade or my knowledge and intelligence on it. But I want to see
Agreed.
Kirill play, right? I want to
Same.
see Ovechkin play. That's really what it's about. We're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit about the women in the state of hockey. Plain cannot wait. That season officially underway. So we'll check in with PWHL Frost. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey guys, Jessi Pierce here for Livea Weight Control Centers. Livea's holiday savings event is finally here. You could lose up to 10 pounds in your first 2 weeks just before the holiday season. Plus, get 8 weeks free when you join Livea's award-winning nutrition program. Not to mention GLP-1 weight loss medications, semaglutide and tirzepatide start at just $199 for the first month. Jumpstart your 2025 goals today. You guys, I joined Livea over a year ago. I am down more than 40 pounds. Could not feel better, could not look better. And Livea's nutrition program has been so easy to follow that even during the holiday season, I know I can still continue to meet and reach my goals. Livea is your source for expert-led nutrition programs now, which includes expert-led medical care. All programs are personalized to you. That's what makes it so successful, and that's where you're going to find success. Join today and get your first 8 weeks absolutely free. GLP-1 medications, semaglutide, and tirzepatide start at just $199 for your first month. No insurance required, plus FSA and HSA eligible. Visit livea.com, that's livea.com, or call 855-GO-LIVEA and start losing today. We're back, and the Minnesota Frost are back. Home opener, season opener, Sunday night at XL Energy Center. A beautiful banner raising going on. Walter Cup down on the ice, got reintroduced to the team and the staff. Some new faces, some familiar faces. Familiar in the fact that Grace Zumwinkle once again scores the first goal of the season in St. Paul. She did the same last year with a
Also,
hat
not to
trick.
mention, sets a record this year with fastest goal 21
21
seconds in.
seconds, baby. I mean, take it with a grain of salt. The New York Sirens, I don't think are great. Defensively, they looked kind of like a hot mess. And unfortunately, Minnesota fell to the Sirens in overtime 4-3. But it's nice to see the X back. A lot of purple. About 8,000, I think, was the announced attendance, which was great. But in general, women's hockey, baby, it's back.
It's back. The energy in the arena last night was electric. Fans were super into it. Fans were excited. I think fans have really rallied around this franchise, especially once the name was announced. A lot of fans walking around with merch that they made. Like I saw quilted blankets with the logos on it, like denim jackets with the logo on the back. So fans are excited. They're excited to see women's hockey back in St. Paul and try to defend a championship here.
Exactly. That defense starts now. They are on the road for a bit yet before they return back to St. Paul for some home games, but you'll have plenty of time to check them out. The only thing that I have to challenge fans to, and I forgive me, I left a little bit early, so I don't know if I ended up hearing it. So I know we worked so hard on the Minnesota cheer last year, and that's what we continued to hear at the X. But how do we got to get the Let's Go Frost going, right? I mean, Minnesota works. Was there a Let's Go? I didn't hear a Let's Go Frost. I just heard the Minnesota.
I think there was some Let's Go Frost, but yeah, Minnesota overwhelming. Yeah. But I like that. I don't know. I think it works. It's very
It does. And I understand it because again, that was what you had to say last year, right? Like there was no Let's Go Frost. But yeah, I don't know. I'm saying it for me because again, I need to remind myself that this is their team name. This is what we're going with. It's the Frost. It's the Frost. It's the Frost. It's the Frost.
Correct.
And say more than just Minnesota.
It'll stick at some point.
It will. Probably at the end of the year. And then It's kind of like when you learn that player's name finally by the end of the season and then they get traded in the off season and it didn't really matter anyway. Luckily that won't happen. Like the name's not going to change.
True.
But, yeah. Cool. True. That's
facts. No notes.
Fast facts, no notes. I think that's it. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you got?
Not really. My brain right now is just thinking about the breakfast burrito I'm about to go downstairs and make.
Oh boy.
Gonna go make some hash browns.
Like, is this just is this homemade or are we like?
No, like it's homemade. I have not eaten yet today, and I don't have groceries other than breakfast food.
No, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I encourage you to eat breakfast.
Well, I take it back. I had a piece of sourdough peanut butter toast, but that's it. So I'm gonna go make a breakfast burrito.
It's good. It's just 1:00 in the afternoon, so
make sure well, breakfast is good at any time of the day. So
you are not wrong. You're not wrong. I got nothing else either this week. Actually, I do have one thing that I did want to say. I forgot to mention when we were talking about David Jiricek. Spoke with him again, as I mentioned, on Monday. And he said the one thing he knows about Minnesota is that it's the state of hockey and that it's freaking cold out. That was his knowledge of Minnesota. So there you go. He's got to buy some warm clothes today.
Is he not used to the cold?
I maybe not. I don't know.
Where's he from?
David Jiricek, I would assume Czechia.
Isn't it cold there?
I think so. He is from Czechia. Yep. I believe it's cold there.
Can we Google how cold it gets?
It's currently there. Oh, it's warmer than here. I'm not sure if this is in Celsius or Fahrenheit, but it's 37 there compared to our 12 here. I always assumed that, yeah, most of Europe had similar temperatures to us, right? Like as us being Minnesota. At least like I don't know. Check in. Any of our European listeners, let us know if checks.
Maybe I should have paid more attention in geography.
Yeah, but it's always like it's in one ear, out the other sometimes.
Yeah.
Such is life. You guys are the best. Let's do cold as our buzzword of the week. I almost forgot about our buzzword.
Cold.
Use it on a number of levels. Yeah, that's gonna do it. We'll be back next week. Probably have a guest. Why not? It's about that time. Check in with somebody.
Hopefully I'll have coffee by then.
Hopefully Kirsten has coffee. Hopefully she eats more than once a day.
And, I eat more than once a day. Let's not do that. I know. I'm gonna make the fattest breakfast burrito and it's gonna be so good.
I mean, I just now realize I actually haven't eaten either.
Yeah, so what are you doing? I don't know
what I'm feeling like. We'll find something. I'll dig something out. I'm going to take the kids to a movie, so maybe I'll get something because now every movie theater has restaurants too. So probably get
True.
something there.
It's an
Spend way too much money.
experience.
Or I'll sneak in some Taco Bell.
Love.
Don't tell. All right, guys, you're the best. As always, shout out to Greenbelt, Royal Credit Union, Livea, Jim Beam, and Talk North. You guys are the best. And our friends over at SotaStick. Don't forget to shop sotastick.com for all your coolest garb. And catch you guys next week. Bye.